Hi, welcome to another episode of Webcam Sessions. This week is the first in a 4-part series where we're going to create the ultimate ukulele strum pattern. And basically all that this is we're going to be looking at our down, down, up pattern, the most stock, boring pattern that pretty much everyone knows how to play. We're going to make sure that you know how to play it, and every week we're going to add a new technique to it to make it a little bit more interesting until at the end we've got a whole bunch of different techniques that are used to create the ultimate ukulele strumming pattern. So all of these different techniques are covered in a course that I did with Ukulele Underground. I'll mention that more at the end of today's video, but you can check it out in the link below. So the first thing we have to do is make sure that the down, down, up, down, up pattern is something that's comfortable. And the way that I like to write out this pattern looks something like this. Now you'll notice we have arrows that are dotted, and those symbolize to miss the strings. Now we've actually talked about this before, and links to those other videos are going to be down in the description below. But to summarize what this pattern really is we're going to play, let's just do a C chord for now, so our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. We're going to start by strumming downward, and then instead of coming back up and strumming, we're going to come up and miss the strings, hence that dotted arrow. So we have down, miss, then we'll go down, up, and miss the strings going back down, which oftentimes is really tricky. And then we're going to come back up, and then down, up. So to try the pattern really slow would be something like this. Down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up. Again, down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up. Now, that pattern is pretty easy and straightforward. So what we want to start doing is adding things to it to make it much more interesting. And today we're going to talk about the first technique to create the ultimate ukulele strumming pattern, and that is accents. Now we've talked about accents before in this series, but I specifically want to talk about accents in relation to this pattern. So an accent is essentially just playing the string a little bit louder when we go through on a strum. Creates a nice blend of volume that's going to make it so that everything isn't so monotonous, but rather we have spikes that give emphasis with a louder volume, surrounded by a little bit less volume when there's not an accent there. The symbol for accent looks something like this, and if we put the accent just on the very first down strum of the pattern, we can sort of change the dynamic of the strum. Something that I think is really important is when you see an accent listed like you do here, it's really a great idea to just play the accent louder as well as all of the non-accented strums just a little bit softer, just to give more of a differential to them. So this pattern with a down with an accent followed by a miss, down, up, down, up would sound something like this. Down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up, down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, up. Kind of cool, right? Makes it sound just a little bit different by having that accent on 1. But to be completely honest, accents on 1, super boring. It's just something that, doesn't usually make a strum pattern sound a lot more interesting. Sometimes it can be kind of cool, but in this case, when we're not using any other techniques with it other than the accent, I like to place the accent on somewhere like 2. This creates this kind of cool offbeat sound that can really help make the strum pattern sound more unique. So what this would look like is just like this. Now we have down, miss, accented down, up, miss, up, down, up. And if we were to play it, it would sound something like this. We have down, miss, down, up, miss, up, down, miss, down, up. I like that sound quite a bit more because now with the accent on the 2, it makes it so that it's a little bit more of a hiccup to it, in a good way though, right? Instead of it being down, down, up, down, 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 up, 1, right? It's now down, down, up, down, down, up. We get that accent on 2, which just sounds a little bit better. And as a tip here, whenever you're clapping with a band, don't clap on beats 1 and 3, claps on beat 2 and 4. That's going to create a much nicer sound when it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's basically what we're doing here to an extent, right? We're accenting on 2, let's just go all the way. Let's accent on 2 and 4 here. So what that would be is down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Right? We get this accent on beats 2 and 4, and that sounds something like. Right? It's really fun to be able to start to implement these accents in different places. The last place we're going to put an accent today is actually on an up strum, which is a little bit more different. And that really creates this syncopated type of feel. And all that syncopated really means is an accent on an offbeat, or in the case of this, an up strum. So what we're going to look at is we're going to go down, miss, down, and then accent on the up strum. And then we're going to continue with the rest of the pattern, right? So this sounds something like this. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. It's a totally different feel, right? So just using accents, which is just playing louder, we can create very different rhythmic feels for these strum patterns. So this week, try placing the accent in as many different places as you can to figure out what sounds that you like. The accent's a pretty simple technique overall. Next week, we're going to be layering in chunking. The week after that, we're going to be doing sweeps or raschiato, or a lot of different names for it. And then finally, the week after that, we're going to be using ghost note strumming. So each one of these 4 weeks, we're going to implement a new technique, and they kind of get a little bit more difficult as we go. So the accent's a great sort of start to it, but if you want more, check back next week for when we introduce chunking with it. As always, if you have any questions, please leave it in a comment down below, and every week we'll be working on a new technique to layer into our strum pattern to make it really quite cool. As I mentioned at the beginning, I actually did a course on strumming here at Ukulele Underground called the Ultimate Ukulele Strumming Course. It's available down below for purchase, and so please check that out if you haven't already and you're looking for extra fun strum patterns and combinations, and I'll talk more about that as we're going through and learning all these fun techniques. So have a great week, and I'll see you guys next time on the next episode of Webcam Sessions.